All right, we're back again here with the Dynasty Nerds Dynasty Industry Hot Takes episode, and I'm joined by Brian Manganero, and I'm also joined by Eric Burkholder. Tell us where we can find you guys.
Yeah, you can find us at ffaffair.com. That's Fantasy Football Affairs Podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Fantasy Football, or Fantasy Affair FF on Twitter.
Yeah, you got to follow these guys. Great content they produce here. Now we're talking again. Where are we at in 2020? What's a player that people aren't talking about enough, or players that you love? And you told me right before we started the show, Terry McLaurin, which is interesting because everybody loves Terry McLaurin. But why do you feel like Terry McLaurin's just not being talked about enough? Where's your hot take on Terry?
I think it's too much. I think it's too much. I keep hearing him in the top 12.
So it's
way too much.
It's too much.
Yes.
Ooh, cold take. Shiver me down now.
He's that wet blanket over there.
Yeah, we see Terry McLaurin last year with a lot of shaky quarterback play, including the year before that. We see him 134 targets. He finishes as wide receiver 20 in PPR leagues. I see the Turner offense with Scott Turner. I see 150 targets going to the running backs year in and year out. I see Antonio Gibson. They signed Curtis Samuel, which I think is more of a gadget play, more of a slot play, but it's De'Ami Brown that's going to take away from him. Now, Ryan Fitzpatrick is 38 years old, right?
39, I think, yeah.
They sign him. He's supposed to target his alpha continually.
Which he does. He does have a track record of habitually targeting heavily as wide receiver one and producing high quality.
For like 6 games.
But now, Tyler Heineke's no threat. He finally, my counterpoint is he finally got no threat. Like, there's no
That's fair.
I can walk in the daylight, no knives behind me.
There's no incumbent. But when I look at Ryan Fitzpatrick and what he does for fantasy versus what he does for the NFL and his gunslinger mentality and his affinity to target one player, I don't think that one player is Terry McLaurin. Now, even to put that aside, say Terry gets his 134. What if he gets to 150 targets? We saw wide receiver 20 last season with his explosive playmaker ability. Now, in Scott Turner's offense, with the amount of plays that go to the flat, with the amount of plays that go to the tight end, and specifically the running back, that would be Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick last year, it's well over 150 targets. So I don't see Terry's volume going up. He's going to have to be way more efficient. And when we look at those players that are efficient, even in the red zone, we look at like A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuels, people that are going to carry people across the goal line. When I look at Terry, he's more of a tactician, right? Like, cornerbacks hate to cover him because he gets open. So he will still put up stats, but top 12 is just way too much. Top 15, I think, is the cusp of what Terry McLaurin is.
And I have to say, there's a hot take because I have him right around wide receiver 11 overall for me personally, because I think him going into this next year, I think his route running is good enough. I think his speed is good enough. I love Ryan Fitzpatrick's, the way he targets. Curtis Samuel does have the injury history. Logan Thomas, a very quality high tight end. They do target the running back ton. J.D. McKissick, top 3 in targets overall when it comes to running backs last year. And now they want to give some of those to Antonio Gibson, which they showed already in a preseason game they wanted to do that. I just think Terry McLaurin with Ryan Fitzpatrick is a wide receiver 1. So you say not top 15. It's not too far off of me because obviously it's an easy window to drop down here. But I do like the take saying, hey, this guy, everybody says he's a wide receiver 1. I disagree. And when I drafted, I just took Terry McLaurin in the 3rd round of a startup. And I did hesitate slightly because I did look at the numbers. And I will say this. I had that same feeling. I was like, is Terry McLaurin more of like a mid-range wide receiver 2 than a wide receiver 1. Not that I want to draft him, but I was like, hey, do I go for that wide receiver 1 upside? Like maybe, I think Jalen Waddle offers wide receiver 1 upside long-term, for example. So do I take Jalen Waddle or do I take Terry McLaurin? And obviously I think I took Terry McLaurin because I do like the upside there. I think he's a very savvy route runner. I think he's got good enough height, and I think he has absolutely fantastic hands. So it's hard. I'm not going to argue against it because you're within the range of it's okay. I mean, if he's wide receiver 16, I say he's wide receiver 11, and Rich, you're a douchebag for saying he's wide receiver 11. Dude, I'm 5-6 spots off. So it's nice though, because I'm looking for analysts. These are takes we're looking for of hey, I believe he's going to be wide receiver 16. Everybody says he's going to be wide receiver 10, 11, 12. And you strongly disagree, which I love it.
Well,
and I know
we like to be exact with fantasy affairs. We don't like to make
closer to the mic so people can hear you.
We don't like to make fringe RB1, wide receiver 1, ideas. That's not what we do. We make our claims, we stake our claims, and we put them out there. So,
which I love, by the way, because that's the way to do it. People say all the time, what do you got to do to make it in the dynasty industry? It's hey, find your guys. talk about your guys, stand behind those guys, and give and back it up.
Right.
That's what it is. So that's what you shouldn't do. You should never be wishy-washy. You should never be on a teeter-totter going back and forth. So if you firmly believe Terry McLaurin's a year in, year out wide receiver too, let your audience know. Because if that turned out to be true, your audience is going to appreciate you because of that. That's what you need to know.
Yes.
And it's as simple as being a wide receiver 2 and a wide receiver 1 can be the difference between you winning a championship or not. And we're all here to do one thing and one thing only. It's win the championships and multiple championships. So is Terry McLaurin that guy to do that? And right now, you're right. You're right. Everybody believes Terry McLaurin's that guy right now that's 25 and under, that's going to year in and year out win you a championship as a wide receiver 1. And you have to know, can you build around that player? And you say no. And you, obviously, as a fantasy football player, agree.
I do. And when you're looking at a wide receiver 1, it's somebody that you need to know is going to put up either that average wide receiver 1 number every single week or above. And 100%. Terry McLaurin doesn't shine to me that guy is going to blow up like a Tyreek Hill number week. He'll get you the 15 points, but he's not that guy that's just going to blow up and win you a week.
And it's hard, too, because I want people watching to know, too, as well, like, oh, these guys don't know what to talk about. It is hard. It is hard as hell to be a wide receiver 1. There's only 12 of them in the world. There's only 12 of them year in and year out. So you just say no.
3 starters on every team.
And you're putting guys ahead of them that you know are going to be like Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins. You have guys ahead of them that are locked. So there's not even like 12 spots,
there's
right?
Like 4 maybe.
There's 4 up for grabs, 6 up for grabs. Because you argue guys like A.J. Brown might be close to be a lock, DK Metcalf. Justin Jefferson might fall in that category.
Stephon Diggs is in
Stephon Diggs is a lock,
you know,
right? So where does that open up there? And a lot of people are putting their chips behind a guy like Terry McLaurin. So for you to say no could help the audience on a continual basis where maybe you sell Terry McLaurin for the guy that you do believe in. Is there one guy, real quick, because I know we have to go.
Yeah.
Is there a guy that's going behind Terry McLaurin right now that you say, I don't need analysis on it, but that you think should go ahead of Terry McLaurin? Just give me the name.
Well, yeah, there's a guy that comes from the former scheme, and that would be DJ Moore. I mean, when you look at Scott Turner and Norv Turner, DJ Moore is
so hard.
DJ Moore is younger. He gets out of the Turner offense. Now he's got the doc from
Joe Brady is OC.
He's got Joe Brady, but he's got Sam Darnold. But when you look at sexy shits. Is that what you're
sexy shits. Keep going.
When you look at that offense and how it's going to grow and the 3 wide receivers with 1,000 total yards, Curtis Samuel leaves. They bring in the LSU kid. Robbie Anderson's probably on his last leg. We see what he does with Darnold. DJ Moore is younger. DJ Moore is going after Terry McLaurin, and DJ Moore has a more secure situation with Joe.
Yes, and he's been doing with ugly shits, which is unbelievable.
With worse than Ryan Fitzpatrick.
And when I took Terry McLaurin, I was like, do I take DJ Moore or do I take Terry McLaurin? But here's my tiebreaker. I'm just going to let you know my tiebreaker before we go.
Let's hear it.
Is I have a ton of DJ Moore shares.
Gotcha.
And this new league's a startup, and my goal in the startup was to get a ton of players. I don't have shares of my 20 leagues. I had 0 shares of Terry McLaurin, and that was a tiebreaker. If it would have been the opposite, I 100% would have taken DJ Moore. I love it. I love you guys. Thanks for joining us. Tell our audience again where they can find you.
Yeah, for sure. You can find me at Brian GMFF Affair on Twitter, guys.
Yeah, I'm at Eric Burkholder 6, and again, check out that website ffaffair.com. You can find links to all of our analysts.
Yeah, and if you like those takes, check them out.
Check us back in a year, right?
Cheers, Rich.
Cheers.
Line and